So I've been on a roller coaster of emotions for like the past months here because since our last podcast and like just a list of events happened technically with the course of YouTube and work and school. Basically, it has taken its course, and I am no longer in college, and I no longer have campus advisory, even though I was not involved in campus advisory. Hey, what's up, guys? It's Megawiimaster1, and welcome to Alex's podcast. Wait,
I
I'm
sound
not
really different.
Megawiimaster1. You're Megawiimaster1.
Hey everybody, it's the
Guys,
true Megawiimaster1, and I'm once again joining Alex on his podcast here. It's been about a year since the last one. I said that I'd be happy to return for another, which he has invited me to do so thank you once again for having me.
yeah, no problem. And again, after all these years of episode 19 of Galaxy 2 Versus, where you did your impersonation, I finally got you back good.
Oh, that
With
that
that,
was
it's case
okay.
closed.
Okay. I can't even hate you for that. That was pretty well played. I wasn't expecting it.
I had it up my sleeve for 6 years, almost 7, but
Careful planning has all
so
led to this moment.
last year it was kind of just casual, just to go along with it, improvisational. This time we kind of have some things to talk about, even though at some point in between we can add whatever it is we want to talk about. We can talk about.
It's still pretty casual, but we
our
have
first,
I'm sorry, but we just like have a uh, kind of like a list of topics we're pulling from, but we can add whatever we want, like you said.
yeah, because I told this to Mega in a DM on Twitter. Really, any podcast that I do is open topic oriented, where you can just basically add any additional thought that you want. It's really uh, it really can be randomized depending on what you want to talk about. But hey, but this time I came up with a list of things that specifically I want to talk about, and which I guess Mega wants to add as well. He can, but the last topic that I had to start with would be current life goals. So, did you want to start on that one, or did you want me to go?
Um, I suppose I can start here. I will say I'm at a very different position than I was a year ago. I think I had talked briefly. I mean, I didn't want to get like too personal with it because I kind of create that wall between myself and YouTube where I don't want that kind of information out. But to recap, a year ago I had left kind of a position I wasn't super happy with, and then more recently now I'm actually currently a teller at my local bank. Of course, I'm not going to say which one, but I've been doing that recently. That's not my current life goal, or at least my long-term life goal. I went to college for graphic design, and that's kind of like more where my passion leads. But around where I live, it's kind of a limited field. So right now, my plan is to just kind of settle in a position like that and kind of build my portfolio a little bit before I start putting out for graphic jobs again, because they like to see more current work as well. And the most current official stuff that I've done in my portfolio is at least a couple years old. So that's kind of where I'm at right now.
That's about it. And he brought up graphic design, and I have to admit, I've watched one of your older videos where you talked about. I think at some point later in the video, you showed Super Mario Galaxy gameplay for a little bit, and but before that, you showed the game case that had the original art cover on it,
Wow,
and it even
you
had
went
like the
digging for that.
Nintendo.
That was one of my oldest update videos, right?
That was it wasn't the very first, but it was between. But what happened was I don't know if you still watch his videos, but I'll say what happened. He did a sketch of the game case cover that had Mario and Luma on it, and I gotta say, from a distance, I really can't tell the difference between the two, because again, when he says he was in graphic design or like really artsy stuff or whatever, he was not lying. That's all.
I mean, I don't really. I know exactly what sketch you're talking about, and admittedly, I don't really look back on that one very fondly. I think maybe just because like that was done in colored pencil, which is kind of a hard medium to do because if you need like certain values between colors, you have to switch out individual pencils. Like you can't just press lightly and get that. Like if you could like say like the harder you press with say a regular pencil, the darker you'll get, and if you press lightly, then you'll get like something more gray. But colored pencils work differently, and I didn't really do it correctly, so I don't have like a lot of in between values when it came to like the shading of that poster. But like I said, good find for you. That's digging deep into my channel. That's within like maybe the first year.
Well, it's a good thing that I'm a jaded treasure hunter.
That was still whenever I was using like my old camera where I had to hit record and then pray that it recorded audio because it was kind of hit and miss.
That actually reminds me to the. I'll bring it up later, but I guess I can do it now. It brings me back to the times where I recorded with my cell phone on top of a shoe, recording my Panasonic Tube TV that I still have, and it was when I did my Ocarina of Time playthrough in my bedroom about almost 9 years ago, and it went from like vertical recording to horizontal, and I got a capture card, so the quality and the equipment use really panned out. It was just that just brings me back. But in terms of my
I have to
life,
ask why on top of a shoe.
it's like the only thing that I had to like stand on top of to like have like the phone lean up against something. It was all I had in the room. I was like, I could have thought of anything else
Okay,
better.
I would have thought like a more flat surface would help.
Yeah, but oh, and also because of this, I also watched the your reaction to like how the Thousand Year Door playthrough panned out, and you even mentioned you got to start somewhere.
Yeah, I said that was kind of my mantra for that video. At least two or three times I said you got to start somewhere, and the I think I ended that video by like getting a phone call, and I don't remember who was calling me at the time. So there were at least like a few things that I was surprised at whenever watching that back. But I thought it would be fun since I was kind of coming up on the 10-year anniversary of when I had recorded it.
10. This is how long. This is how long that it took to finish the finale and upload
Yeah,
it.
yeah, and it's still going.
Still
I
going.
still have bonus videos to do.
Because I would have.
The third bonus video is recorded. I just have to finish editing it.
Because I would be led to believe that it's a relatively long game. Am I wrong?
Yeah, that's kind of par for the course when it comes to an RPG. And then just because it's my favorite game of all time, I want to be as detailed with it as possible. And I feel like I have kind of like a new strategy when it comes to recording where I write down notes about everything I want to discuss, and I never used to do that. And then like if there's like maybe like a specific joke I want to make, it's like I guess you could call it like semi-scripted, but I feel like it helps me be more organized with what I'm covering. And I think it's turned out to be a better product as a result.
It's just it's the little things. It's the little things that make the biggest difference, but we don't really realize it. But it's
Yeah.
the reality. But that's how it is. But I gotta say, extravagant job on it so far. Even though you did
Thank you.
mention that you do have bonus videos to do, I will be
Yeah.
sure to check them out when they get published. So, but my life goals, I'll start with this one. I'm developing this.
Congratulations on finishing college, by the way.
Thank you, thank you. But no campus advisory. But
Bless them. Bless them. Wonderful people.
bless the advisory of campus. Anyway, but I am starting a another routine habit like that's like trying to help me out. What I mean by that is I'm trying to make a to-do list for each week to stay memorized on what to accomplish because what I had like the hardest time with in the past was like memorizing the tasks that I kind of wanted to accomplish. But I always felt better that the less I have to think, the more effective I'll be in executing my duties. So that's one. Second is I really haven't brought this up to anybody else, typically on YouTube or anybody else that I'm associated with. Uh, I did a lot of landscaping when I was at the age of 14 to 15 to 16, and I always used a push mower to in my backyard. I was like, wow, this was something for just two lawns that were relatively small. But now that I am a official landowner, I in another state, I won't say where, your grass cutting job is going to be way more intense, considering the fact that you don't even use a push mower. It's more like a ride in, but there is no seatbelt in it. Like the second you go, you're gonna fall out or feel like you're gonna fall out. It's just, it's freaky, but it
Does it have
happens.
that much kick to it?
It's, and I gotta say, you gotta be incredibly careful. I think I put a picture on Twitter of me like wearing my college jacket, and I was like wearing like a pair of boots or something. That were like protective or something like that. I don't know, but that was like published or taken the day that we were first being taught how to use it, and then like just now it's like second nature already, to be honest. But however, this year I am as a life goal, I'm trying to prepare for the wintertime and make some camping trips and kind of get out of my comfort zone and like see nature a little bit more. That and I'm trying to see Axiom
That's pretty
to
cool.
yeah. It's that and I'm trying to like see Chris or my Okami HD, the definitive playthrough guest or partner, more on the daily. And considering the fact that how busy he is, we've been making extravagant use of our time. So that's another goal that I'm trying to get down. And that's about
How
it
far
for
away do you go when you go camping?
how far we go. I want to say if I can estimate the drive, it'll probably be about just under 2 hours, about
Okay.
93 minutes, an hour and a half.
Yeah. Not a lot of people go camping in the winter, so that's pretty ambitious.
Because I gotta say, in the summer, it's just not something I want to do. It's just not something I want to do because there was like mosquitoes out. It's just those mosquitoes. I never liked them. I never did. I never will. It's yeah.
That's fair. I think I've heard like trip well, if you're not using bug repellent, I don't know if this is true or not. I've heard like wearing a hat and having like a dryer sheet underneath it that can repel them. I don't know how true that is, but that's just kind of like a home remedy I've heard.
I would say you're right to an extent, but I typically think repellent is like more effective when it comes to like creating like a scent barrier when it comes to
Yeah,
pests. Uh,
that's probably more the way to go. It's just something I heard whenever I was working my retail job once.
I mean, hey, if the dryer sheet method works, I'll do it. I'll get a hat because I have like a box of them in my room. The summer is
And
just
then it's funny that you mentioned. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
go for it. I was just thinking of something else.
Okay, I was gonna say it's funny that you mentioned camping and uh, Axiom, formerly Chris Igor, because that's actually kind of how Whatchamagivet and I and my brother as well. That's how we meet up to do our recordings for our collaborative channel, where we go out to my family's cabin because it's kind of like isolated. There isn't really a whole lot there to interrupt us, and we record out there. But I mean, it's yeah, it's a cabin. We have a generator out there, and we're able to bring Watch's HD monitor, and then we can usually get a project uh, recorded in a weekend that way. So that's worked out pretty good for us.
And how far a
But we're
drive?
not exactly roughing it there.
And how far a drive would that be, or is it relatively long or short?
It's it's pretty short. It's like between 30-45 minutes from my house.
Not too bad. About typically Axiom's same length from where I live.
Yeah.
But hey, the in the end, it all pays off.
Yeah.
I would say
Uh, I also kind of. Oh, go ahead.
I would say because we're gonna walk into future plans for YouTube. I would say that uh, I think because we talked about this, like I think we've in our heads like kind of gathered more as to what we want to do. I would say that Mega's like relatively busy now because he works as a bank teller. But
Don't have a good day. Have a great day.
great, great. Yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
doing Tony the Tiger, but
No, I was doing a quote from Free Guy.
sure, I wasn't gonna go there. Yeah. What would you want to say though?
Uh, this kind of piggybacks on what you were talking about with your current life goals, but I can kind of tie it into the next topic. You had talked about like you're essentially doing like checklists, so that way you have like your things to do throughout the week. And I'm very much the same. Just like I mean, like checklists work because I don't remember what chemical it is in our brains that like or like maybe it's like neurotransmitters. Whenever you cross something off of a checklist, it makes your brain feel good. It's like human like number go down or up.
That's what I'm saying though. That's
So it
exactly what I'm saying.
yeah, it makes you feel like you're accomplishing something. Like I have a whiteboard in my room here that I have at least a few things to do, and one of those is actually edit the next episode of Thousand Year Door. Finish doing that, so now that can kind of tie into future plans for YouTube.
I still got my editing tutorial on this about how I'm not gonna say what it is I'm editing though. But I'm like trying to at some point show this is a future plan for YouTube, so I guess we already are on this. Um, it's like an editing tutorial, and there of course is episode 13 of the definitive playthrough, but we'll get into how that sparked up later. And for those who haven't noticed, I have been doing a Let's Play of Twilight Princess for a while now, but I never got down to finishing it. And I had this thought in my mind about possibly restarting the game, due to the fact that I've been obtaining better recording equipment over like the course of a few years, and because that's like a really important game to me and I love it. I did want to make the quality and visual and audio like the best it could possibly reach, in its fullest potential, because I think doing that would make it better in its appearance, to be honest. That and pursuing upgrading recording equipment and getting a secondary capture card uh, is another goal, because I feel like the one that I use now is like it's like built into my PlayStation, but I don't really have access to grab it out and use it. Although I do have a external one that I used for a versus project between M-Chan and I when we did our Twilight Princess versus back in 2018-ish. Um, but I never touched that one in like quite a while. And voice crack, Jesus. Uh, the funny thing though is that I can actually use it to record my computer screen, which would help a lot because I don't have to use fraps or anything else. But it's that. And lastly, for my future plan for YouTube, it's like this is my third and last one, just for now at least. But we are developing a versus project plan between Seethercord, who's my best friend that just got married last year in December, uh, and of course Axiom and I. We don't know the game that we want to do yet, but it is on our bucket list for not bucket. Sound like we're gonna go at some point, but that is on our.
I mean, we all do eventually.
Sure.
They got really dark.
Don't say that, man. That's about it for me. For my future plans.
You were talking about Twilight Princess here. I see that the last part that you uploaded it was 6 years ago, and now I'm not going to tease you about it because I've been slow enough with the Thousand Year Door. I have no right to do that to you. But I did want to ask, were you doing the HD version? And if you do pick up the Twilight Princess again, do you plan on doing that?
No, and I'll say the reason why. And because I think Twilight Princess is such a gem of a game, like I think the original version would be better to do because that's the one that I started with. And the funny thing about that is, M-Chan used the HD version in his verses, and I used the standard definition, which I wouldn't see how it would be 100% fair because it's close, very close in gameplay. But I do believe though that one of the editions loads the next loading zone faster in a way. So I would say no. I'm not
I
going to
could
do the
believe
HD
that.
version, but I'll stick to standard definition because that's the one that I typically planned on. But yeah, that's the answer to that.
Okay. And you were fairly close. I think you only had about two dungeons left. You finished Snow Point, correct? Wait, no. Snow Point's Majora's Mask, isn't it? It's the mansion in the snowy area in Twilight
Snow
Princess.
Peak Ruins, but
Snow Peak. Okay.
yeah, it's Yeto and Yetta. You have to like race them both and like get the heart piece. And then I had the Temple of Time and the City in the Sky left, and I had the Palace of Twilight, which is typically three dungeons left, but I see what you mean. Uh, Two main ones left at least.
I guess I didn't think of the Palace of Twilight because there's no like. Or, wait, no, there is a piece of heart there or heart container.
Yeah, it's
So yeah, it is three.
yeah, that game is pretty easy to 100% to be honest, because like it's rather hard in the beginning, but I did it with M-Chan, so I typically already did. I'm saying typically a lot. I pretty much already did a Let's Play of Twilight Princess full, only when I did my verses with M-Chan. But I feel like I wouldn't really count because I didn't do it on my own. Somebody else was there. Uh,
But the verses managed to come out first before the actual Let's Play was complete.
which is fun because like I played the standard definition anyway. But I think the original plan, still for me though, is to fully finish the game on my own with nobody else on a side screen because that was my original plan. But yeah, I do see myself possibly restarting that game and just giving it another shot. Although there are some moments where at the time I had M Chan as a guest or Max as a guest, and at the time he did not know about the game at all. He said that he never played it or never even knew about it. I'd hate to throw a memory like that
That's
away.
surprising here.
Yeah, I really hate to dispose of a memory like that, but um, I
Yeah,
may.
it feels pretty surprising because I feel like Max is very well versed when it comes to a lot of Nintendo series, particularly Mario and Zelda. I've noticed.
Yeah, I've definitely seen that. Of course, on the time that he did uh, Super Mario Bros. 2, when Axiom, Cetacord, and I were guests, and we just the quality and commentary was bad because like I think Max was using Skype on his phone, and it was just
The good old days.
the Skype Discord wasn't even being used at the time. It was like so 2012 ish, but it's like an itch I had to scratch. It's like I'm so glad that I got it off. But hey, I went back and watched it, and like the memories were just so wholesome with that game. Even though I really never played it, but I was just a guest. Ugh, it's just I may actually end up keeping the Twilight Princess videos I already have and just starting up a fresh new one and just like say, hey, it's just me redoing it. It's gonna be a reloaded version, and we are starting from scratch. But I'll see what I can do. My decision has not been made
Yeah, and
fully.
it's true you do have the verses under your belt, but I can kind of see what you mean. Like this way, it can be sort of. I mean, you said you still would probably have guests anyway, but this way it gets to be mostly one artist's vision, and it can reflect more so how you are as a person now.
Which is what we're going to talk about later. That's for sure. Uh, but yeah, that is another plan that I have written on my wrist, and it's going to be, and it will be for a while until I sort it out. But we'll see. We'll see how it plays out in the coming future. I just don't know when. But it's nothing wrong with being prepared. Which leads to our third topic, which I feel like a lot of people have been doing their research on this year because of last month, I believe, in like early October, this trailer was released. Um, I did a video where
Before we leave the topic of future plans for YouTube, is it alright if I add a few things?
oh yeah, of course.
Okay. Uh, so once again, I won't get into a whole lot of specifics, uh, but I have mentioned that I am doing the bonus videos for the Thousand Year Door. I I'm trying to think of just how many those will be. I have like a big Google Doc of all of my notes, like I said, but it's gonna be somewhere between. I'm guessing around 10. It could be a little bit less. It could be a little bit more, but that's kind of around the range of bonus videos I'm doing. And I have 3 recorded so far. And then after that, I will say I know what the next Let's Play will be. I've kind of juggled around different ideas over the years, but I'm pretty sold on what the next game will be, and I have been for about 4 years. It's just going to be a matter of how will I record it, because it's going to be a little bit different than how I've recorded the Thousand Year Door. And then when it comes to my collaborative channel, The Gamers Garage, Whatchamagivit, my brother and I, we took a trip out to my family's cabin this last summer, and we recorded a. We've kind of been doing, having a habit of recording like a side series in between our major projects. So after we did Nicktoons Unite for the GameCube, we followed that up the following year with 3 videos of the Game of Life for the PS1, if you've ever played that. We just kind of like did one round, and we might do more in the future, but we did that as kind of like a one-off series, and then we used that to introduce the next major project, which was Kirby's Return to Dreamland for the Wii. And then, funnily enough, the last Nintendo Direct we got, they announced that they're doing an HD version for the Switch.
For the Switch.
And then, yeah, I sent the trailer to watch. I'm just like, hey, do you think we might have jumped the gun and did it too early? And we more or less feel, nah, it's probably going to be mostly the same aside from the graphical update. There are a few new power-ups they showed, but my brother is interested in getting Kirby's Return to Dreamland for himself someday, and he couldn't find it for the Wii at like our local used game store. So I showed him that trailer, and he's probably going to pick up the Switch version. And if he does, what we might, the quotations might do in the future is do like just kind of an update video for Kirby's Return to Dreamland where we would show off the new features of the Switch version without doing like a whole another playthrough. But yeah, there's that, and like I said, the project that we recorded over the summer, I can't talk about it a whole lot because Whatchamagivit and I have a whole running joke that he's going to sick the lawyers on me if I violate the non-disclosure agreement. Like, I finished a graphical overlay. Like, for Nicktoons Unite, since the game isn't widescreen, I just decided to make an overlay where the black bars would be of what characters we were playing as that would like have our names below them, and I was really proud of how that turned out. And I did something similar with this next major project that we're doing. I had to get feedback, so I sent it to like a group text I have with some of my graphic designer friends, and I let Wetcha know that I violated the non-disclosure agreement. He said I'm sending worse than the lawyers. I'm gonna have HR talk to you.
Oh, brother.
So I'm probably going to lose my Gamers Garage benefits package because of this.
That's one itch you have to scratch. I will say though that like you brought up like the black bars and like video footages sometimes. It's
Yeah.
depending on the game that you record, it's like kind of hard to get these videos cropped correctly because like the last thing you want to see is like a cluster of black bars and it doesn't look visually appealing.
Yeah, I find it with an overlay, it's more interesting to look at, and it's just something easy that the audience could take in. Go, okay, if I can use Nicktoons Unite for an example, okay, Mega is playing as Danny Phantom for the majority of the playthrough. Good. Whatcha is SpongeBob. Mega's bro is Jimmy, and then usually it was me who would switch to Timmy Turner, but we didn't really change the overlay for that because I would communicate to the audience when I was switching. But for the most part, I was Danny.
Feel the appearance. I had to do it. I had to do it.
Wait, what?
I was doing Mr. Crocker.
I'm sorry, I missed it. Very good appearance.
I had to do Mr. Crocker in this recording at some point. That wasn't planned, but if Fairly Odd Parents or some other cartoon was gonna come up, I would just like make a reference of one of them, and that was there. It happened.
Nice.
It was.
But yeah, I guess. Yeah, there's that, and funnily enough, this last recording trip, we actually not only did we record the one-off and the next project, which I finished making the overlay for, but we actually started another one off, or we recorded another one off, and the next major project after this one. So technically, we recorded at least 4 games in this last recording trip over the course of a long weekend. So we did pretty good. We didn't finish the fourth one. We have to actually go back and record the second half, but I was pretty pleased with the progress we made.
And I gotta say, like, you brought up the PS1 at some point, and I'm gonna try to reach it, and I'm gonna see if I can reach over and touch it. And don't know if you heard that, but that was a tote. My PS1 is in there, and I haven't touched it in a hot minute. Uh, but I try to share. I like really try to cherish the consoles that I previously owned and still do, because
Oh yeah.
they're just collector's items. It's just something that I really typically just don't throw away or give away or really do anything about them. I just kind of hang on to them because their sentimental value just like
There's a lot
means
of
so much
memories
to me.
attached to those.
There is. In fact, I
I
have.
still have my original GBA.
So do I. It's just in a bag somewhere behind me, and that doesn't exist. Uh, I gotta look for it, but yeah, I did not give away the Game Boy Advance. It is in here. I know it is. I've seen it last month. It did not escape my bedroom. But yeah, try to really cherish what I own. And I gotta say about the Switch, they did a lot of remakes. They did a lot of remakes of before the Switch even existed. They took a lot of games that existed on the standard definition, and they did a ton of Switch remakes. Insane, but it is the reality. They look better though. They're fun to play, and they look good. They sound good, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's just how it is. I might actually use that idea of streaming some Switch games at some point when I get the capture card that I was talking about earlier. I'm aiming for like an Elgato HD60. The budgeting is pretty good because of like pretty good. What am I saying? Uh, Budgeting is going to be tighter now because I did have to pay off something uh, that happened with the car that I drive. Typically, like originally, the idea was the main plan of money to like spend that day was going to be like $70 for like an oil change. It ended up being way over because what's nice about my mechanic is that um, if you tell him to do one thing, he runs like a chip and like finds any other problems that he has, and he'll just fix them for you. So you don't have to like make multiple visits. It's just one. But it was
So it's like a diagnostic type of thing.
exactly. It was expensive. It hurt. It was expensive, but I've gotten over it. It hurt. It really hurt. The
It,
soul.
it hurts when you're an adult and you're spending your own money.
But hey, there's a reason you make it. There's a reason you live, and there's just it's just I value living, and I like value being safe way more than just scraps of paper with numbers on them that smell good. But I'm not gonna even gonna go there. But still, uh, however though,
But yeah, I think that's all of my future plans for YouTube that I'm allowed to talk about. Whatcha will probably still sick the lawyers on me, so I'm expecting there's probably a comment down there right now. So everybody, say hi to Whatcha in the
you
comments
hear
because I
that?
know he's listening.
You hear that, would you? Comment like you did on the last one about campus advisory.
Now that I've said it, he has to.
Yeah, he was there in the last one because you were here, and have a pretty good feeling that he will be on this one. I know he will. I see him down there already in the comments section.
Hi.
But on
But you mentioned a trailer earlier,
I did.
and I think we need to introduce that now.
It's I feel like a lot of people in the past or typically now still because this movie is going to come out in April of next year. I'm pretty sure you already know what I'm talking about because I did a review on it. Uh, the Super Mario Bros. Movie. I do have some thoughts that kind of changed up in between now and the time that I um, made my review about it. I do wish that somebody else. I don't mean that. Just take it with a grain of salt. I really doubt that any of the cast is gonna watch this video because we're just a bunch of small YouTubers. I do wish somebody else would basically do the voice of Mario because the way that I see it is Mario has the classic voice, the classic hair, classic look. But I feel like the last person that would
He wears a hat though.
there is a hat. with an M on it. It's like a little white field with an M, and it just when he takes it off, there's just a Luma that flies out or whatever it is because it happened in Galaxy 2 and the cutscene. It's, there's a lot of things I would change. I would not see that. I would not say that I'm gonna be rushing to the theater in April to go and see it, but eventually I may want to give it a watch to see its fullest potential. To be honest, um, but I did want to mention though I did some research last night on how it would strike up a Smash Bros. Um, community, and on the sidelines I saw that Zelda, Metroid with Samus in it, and Fire Emblem with Marth uh, may get the same acknowledgement because I've seen films revolving around gaming before. For example, the Super not Super Sonic the Hedgehog movie that came out in 2020, and then another one came out this year in April. I went with Cedar Cord and his wife to go and watch it. It was pretty good, I can't lie, but I do feel like in a way, because nobody really liked Sonic's rough cut in the original first movie, um, and people don't like Mario's
That's
rough
an
cut
understatement.
now. But this, I do see it improving. I do see um, the movie industry, not the movie industry, but the company that's making the movie to change up the look or like the sound, or maybe have somebody else come on, or maybe have Chris Pratt like do another cut on his audios or something. That would change the viewer's mind because right now nobody's really that satisfied. But for whatever reason, Zelda, Metroid, and Fire Emblem, I don't know why they brought those games up specifically. Um, but hey, I do hope they get some acknowledgement when it comes to filmmaking because we've seen Sonic and Mario so far. Maybe it's Zelda next.
Yeah, Zelda feels like the natural next step. I have heard rumors about a Donkey Kong movie since Seth Rogen's going to be playing him in the movie. I don't know if any of that is true, but I can see that also being a very reasonable next step. Fire Emblem kind of surprises me a little bit, but lately in the last few years, Nintendo's like really pushing that to be a flagship series. I don't know if it'll get quite as big as Mario or Zelda, but they're definitely trying.
It's for as long as I've known Zelda as a franchise, it's just I've played Ocarina of Time for the very first time. Just an example. I've obviously played Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, and Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask since I was 8. I'll be 25 next year.
But a lad.
I was literally 8 years old. I will be 25 next year. Ridiculous. Ridiculous to say, but the reality is there. It's I cherish those series and those franchises so much that if they do make a movie about them, I would be more than willing to go and watch if I'm so satisfied to do it. But hey, like if they get the recognition that the last two franchises did, Mario and Sonic, I will be more than glad to watch. However, though, I do see some things being have to change on the Mario movie, and hopefully they do. So far, but
I will say you mentioned a little bit about setup for a Smash Bros. Movie. I my personal feeling, I think they should work on making them be good self-contained films first before they would try that because we've we've kind of seen like a lot of people kind of want to do what the Marvel Cinematic Universe did without really having a plan for it yet. So, like for example, was it Universal tried to do the Dark Universe, which would have the classic movie monsters like Dracula, Frankenstein, and they started with the Mummy, and the Dark Universe kind of died with that movie because they weren't really able to, I think, garner enough interest for more. So really, rather than get too ambitious in trying to set up for a Smash Bros. Movie, I think I'd rather them just be good self-contained films first and then think about how that might come to be afterwards.
it's it's the reality there is, and if they had those ideas, again, I would be more than glad to go and check them out because I feel like I feel like I've been judging a book on its cover these last few months when it comes to these kinds of things. The truth is, though, like I really won't see its full potential if I don't actually go and see them. Like for example, I'll go into it in like the topic after the next, but there was a time that I didn't play Tales of Symphonia until I actually played it. I've seen MJN do a playthrough of it. I think the first or second game.
You didn't play it until you didn't play, or you didn't play it until you played it. That's wild.
Exactly. You don't do it unless you do it. uh, but again, like I've heard of some of the games that I play now from other people, and then I heard about it from them, and then I go and purchase it on my own, play through it, and at the end, I'll either love it or hate it. It's just the truth. I was led to believe that's about it that we have to say about the Mario movie, or is there anything else you want to add about it? Or would that be it?
So I mentioned before we started recording that I kind of have a cheat sheet pulled up where I sent kind of this long-winded text to one of my friends, and I feel like that's the most
Oh yeah, yeah.
collected
Let's see the
and
text.
competent. Yeah, I feel like that's probably the most collected and competent rationalization of my thoughts in the Mario movie. So I'm probably just gonna read that word for word. So from my analysis of the trailer, I already knew this probably wasn't going to be the kind of Mario movie that I'd personally want to see.
Oh boy.
My my ideal Mario movie would consist of the original voice cast, but with minimal dialogue and kind of a lot of pantomiming. Like, have you played Luigi's Mansion 3?
Not three, but I played the original. But I see your point.
Okay, but basically, kind of the direction that Luigi's Mansion 3's cutscenes went. Granted, there's probably a very niche audience for that kind of thing, and general moviegoers probably wouldn't go for a movie that was mostly silent. I would hope more would, but I don't think that's the audience that Illumination is going for. Now, I kind of have biases against Illumination where I like, and you kind of see this with Despicable Me mostly, but I kind of feel like Illumination is more so focused on making like trailers, so to speak, like that are very like loud and in your face when it comes to their movies.
I
So
would agree.
yeah, they're very loud and in your face movies here. I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing, but it's not really what I would want from a Mario movie, like I said. And so the decision to make it dialogue heavy after watching the trailer, I've still decided it probably isn't for me, but that's okay. I'm not doing like an extreme boycott of this or anything like that because one, like kind of like what you said, I probably will see it someday, but I'm not going to be rushing out to the theaters. But I am also very curious how this plays out. I do hope people have fun with it, even if it's not my thing. And even though I prefer the original cast, other than the celebrity voices, I have looked at the trailer and tried to at least kind of rationalize the casting choices that even though I'm not in support of it. I'm very much in support of like the original actors being in there, but I can at least kind of see what they were going for. I definitely won't doubt that star power can attract people to films. Like, for example, earlier this year, I watched Whiplash because I'm a fan of J.K. Simmons and his work, and I heard that he gave a phenomenal performance in that, and he certainly did. But I feel like when it comes to casting celebrities, I don't really care for it when it compromises the character. Looking at the voices that, or listening to the voices that we've heard in the trailer and how they're being portrayed, some of them start to make more sense. Luigi is a very neurotic, jumpy, on edge character, right?
Right,
So
and
it
by the
kind of makes
way,
sense.
and by the way, J.K. Simmons. We are talking about the same guy that did uh, James Jonah Jameson in Spider Man, right?
Yes,
Okay, making
yes.
sure.
But Luigi's a very neurotic character, so it makes sense that they cast Charlie Day. He has a history of doing that. Bowser is a monstrous, loud, boastful showboat of a character. So it makes sense that they cast Jack Black, aka Jablinski Games. Uh, Toads are all very loud and panicky, but also upbeat. So I can see why they cast Keegan Michael Key. The only person, and you had the same feelings, the only person I have yet to see the trailer justify casting is Chris Pratt as Mario. Because there really isn't a whole lot about Chris Pratt that screams Mario. I mean, granted, Chris Pratt is known for voicing very upbeat characters. He's played Emmett in the Lego movie, and he played Barley in Onward. Those were kind of like very upbeat and optimistic characters, and maybe that's what they're going for with Mario. But people have said he sounds too much like himself, and he's not doing the traditional Mario voice. But even if he did the traditional Mario voice, I don't think that'd be enough to save the performance.
Because
I feel like if he were to try to do the traditional voice, it would sound like a poor imitation, and people would just call him out for it.
right, because I think that, I mean, not really down talking him as an actor. I'm sure he does a okay job and great job with other characters, but Mario though, because originally we know that that Charles Martinet does the original Mario voice in like the games and everything. We've seen the gameplay in the trailers for those. If he was there, great, perfect, because he's there in every single Mario game, and we're okay with it because he sounds like him. But I think if Chris Pratt, I already like kind of mentioned this before, but I feel like if Chris Pratt were to like improve his impression of him, maybe he would have a shot at it. That's just me, but hey, like people have their opinions, but I just I just don't see it happening with him at least, unless he actually really draws out his voice performance. Unless they do like another rough cut or final cut of his editorial or like auditory like speech impediment or impediment. What am performance? Maybe he has a shot, but right now it's just not looking too good.
Yeah, I don't think a simple like I feel the opposite. I don't really feel like him voice trying to do a voice match would work. Again, I feel like people would call him out for it, but
Me neither.
Mario's voice at its core, he's very happy-go-lucky, cheerful, and optimistic. And Chris Pratt has played characters like that in the past, but from what we've heard, I'm not getting that from his voice in the trailer. And then even if he did do the traditional voice, I still feel like yeah, he'd be called out as a poor imitation. And it sounds like from what we've heard, they're having him do more of a Brooklyn accent, like some of Mario's older appearances, because maybe they feel like it would be more believable for the movie. Though if they're having him suddenly be from Brooklyn again, it's a decision I'm a little confused by because Nintendo has kind of strayed away from the Brooklyn origin for Mario, like for the last 15, 20 years or so. Probably as far back as Yoshi's Island, they've said no, Mario's from the Mushroom Kingdom.
I'm not sure if you heard
Uh,
but
there,
my mic actually picked up my laptop for a little bit. I'm sorry if the audio kind of changed up a little bit, but anyway, go on. Apologies.
some people do think that maybe they're having Chris Pratt do the Brooklyn accent uh, because they feel like the Italian accent would be too offensive. I don't really subscribe to that theory myself because if it were the case, I feel like Mario's voice in the games would have changed by now. I really do think they had him do the Brooklyn accent because they felt like it would be more believable coming from Chris Pratt. Because if you actually notice, a lot of people have said that the French version of the trailer sounds a little bit more believable. So maybe the French actor was able to pull it off a little bit better, have the traditional voice sound more natural. But I guess just closing thoughts on the movie. All that aside, the animation is very nice. The character models are different enough for them to be recognized as the movie version, but same enough to still be the characters. Mario's model is a little weird from certain angles, but I could just be used to how we normally see him. I feel like his head probably isn't as round. His face is a little flatter, I think. But uh, yeah, I'm sorry if that was a really big mouthful, but I wanted to make sure I was as thorough as I could with my thoughts. And now, if anybody else asks me about the Mario movie here, I can just direct them to this video.
Hey, it turns out that we both did reviews officially of the movie so far, even though this is technically not on Mega's channel. Uh, we did our reviews. Now you hear what we have to say. And in April next year,
There you
we'll
go.
see if those will fulfill those statements. But I gotta say, hey there, did somebody call a doctor? Brooklyn guy from Super Mario
Dr.
Logan.
Mario?
Brooklyn guy from Super Mario Logan. Snore. Snore. Sorry, but I had to do it. But yeah, we will see definitely in April. But the next topic I wanted to point out, like I feel like I've mentioned a couple of these in this list already, but adulting and what is different now. Uh, did you want to take the wheel on this one first, or did you want me to go ahead?
Um, I kind of already covered a whole lot of topics with the Mario movie, so why don't you go ahead and lead, and I can piggyback off of that because I didn't have a whole lot to cover for this topic.
That's okay. I'll take the wheel first, and hopefully somewhere along the way, you can pick up some thoughts and make it, and we'll just kind of help you think of any.
Yeah.
Because there's a couple in here that I didn't really talk about with current life goals, and I think one of them reappeared. So, in between now and the time that I turned 18, which was when we did the Galaxy 2 versus, um, there was a lot of responsibilities that I had to pick up. And of course, I knew that at the age of 18, the age I would be now, it would be really hard. But words just did not prove that to me. Reality really did. It was way, way harder now than it is back then. Uh, and sticking to your plans without intervention is just the even tougher thing because not only do you have to stick to your plans and do what you want to do, somebody will probably keep you from doing it and it can interfere with your future week or future month or future year, depending on how you process and deal with these kinds of situations. Because when I turned 20, I thought, hey, it's just a number, right? I mean, come on. Uh, but I feel like the older you get and the more adaptive you become to handling uh, your life goals, really, that's really just what it is. You have to stay on top of just really what you want to do and not let anybody else get in the way, uh, no matter who it is, just the way it is. Uh, and there's I brought up being a landowner and accomplishing tough tasks is because of that. If you're in like a rural area, and you're around hospitals and fast food places and grocery stores, if you're a landowner, like not as many of the stores are as like local or close around to you as they would be that if you were to like live in a regular state where there's just a ton of that stuff around you. If something happens, if you're doing like a tough task, like a manual labor task, and like you cut yourself, like your hand or arm or leg, first aid is difficult to seek. Just be ready for that sort of thing because if you're going to call a doctor or something like that, it will take a long time for them to show up. And last year or the year before, I was never a landowner. This was something that came out of the blue in last year that I had to like pick up because this was a idea that me and the rest of my family gathered and wanted to do. They wanted to go camping at a certain time and like buy up a few acres and be outside in nature for a while. And I was just like, you know what? It's been a hot minute since I've done something like that. Since I was like 3, I've never done it. So I was like, to tell you the truth, it sounds fun,
Hmm.
and I went for it. Uh, I brought up being a like I'm not going to call myself a landscaper, but I brought up cutting grass a lot in the past, and using like a push manual lawnmower or something like that, which was fun. Uh, at the time, I didn't really enjoy it because I thought of it as like more of a chore back then because I had to like use my legs and go for it. But if you're gonna ride inside of a lawnmower, you don't do anything. You just sit and let the work take over. That's what it is. Uh, but you got to be awfully careful because
Feels almost like a routine task at that point.
it is. And I must say, quite a few acres, quite the distance, and quite the amount of grass. You have, have to make extravagant use of your time because if not, your job's not going to get done, and you got to go like an hour away back home, and then come back the next day. The grass has like somewhat grown back, but I feel like this winter time it will kind of like compensate because grass doesn't grow that fast in the winter. It dies out, and it just you really don't do it. You barely even cut the grass in the winter, and I doubt we'll have to do that at all this winter. But in the summertime, it's gonna like change
You
like
just
that.
reminded me I have to mow one more time before the end of the year.
Ex- exactly, because I feel like this winter will just really any winter will just knock out the lawn for you, and just that's one chore off your list. And that and there is a time and place for everything because being an adult now is just like makes you realize that hey, if I'm doing YouTube or something like that, but if I have a job going on currently, it's just work first, YouTube later. Just handle what's more important first. And that and like expenses and handling funds has become a whole lot more difficult than I thought it was going to be because just recently I had to do this thing where originally I wanted to spend about I'm not going to say dollar figures, but X amount, but that amount turned up to be way higher because the car that I use had way more problems than I thought it did, and thankfully my mechanic spotted them and like fixed them up. So my original price was at one point, but it just skyrocketed out of nowhere. So it was a huge surprise, which was okay because again I value being safe over just waiting and like running into a situation. But the truth is that'll happen. It'll suck, but hey, it's welcome to life. Welcome to life. And
Yeah, I mean, life throws whatever it has at you.
just
There are usually no limits.
just happens, and that's about it for me. Because adulting, it sure has taken a toll. But hey, if the list can go on, I can probably talk more about it. But right now, nothing has come to my attention so far. If you want to take the wheel next,
Um,
you can go for it.
okay. Uh, I don't really have a whole lot to add here aside from well, congratulations on being a landowner. I hope now you may be able to stand out on a front lawn and yell at kids to get off of your lawn.
Back in my day, we didn't have
That
people.
is
We didn't have
that
people
is
come
one
over
of
to
my
our place.
ultimate goals.
Uh,
Um, but adulting definitely. I might have said that I might have overlapped myself a little bit when talking about this, but whenever I began college, I really enjoyed the freedoms that came with that. It was my responsibility to get myself to and from classes, and then when it comes to being an adult, you also have to make your own appointments. So getting to and from those, scheduling around them, of course, and uh, I'd say one of the biggest versions of adulting this year was before I began working at the bank as a teller. I stopped in to get some career counseling services around where I live and worked with them but I ultimately had to decide, okay, I'm not getting anywhere by myself. I need help. And then they were kind of able to give me tips on how to carry myself during an interview, what kind of things to do during an interview, particularly have questions ready. I did a few interviews where no other questions came up, but definitely have at least like a few in the back of your pocket whenever you're applying for a job and going in for an interview. Even something like very generic, like asking about a particular or like what a typical day would look like. Uh, and then saying things like, is there anything I can answer or provide that will help in making your final decision? So generic things like that, because it's less about getting an answer and more so just showing an interest in the position, I feel. Uh, and then, so yeah, the career counseling services I got definitely helped. It helped me feel more confident as I was applying for things, and some of the things that they taught me I might not have considered on my own. So I'm sorry if that didn't really apply a whole lot to the adulting topic. I mean, I guess you could, but I guess the biggest takeaway you can get from that is know when you need to ask for help, because that's the decision I had reached whenever I decided to go in for those services.
Because there are a couple of times where I had gone into interviews in between now and February where there are a couple questions that kind of pop out that you don't expect, but be ready and like have an answer ready that they'll like. Uh, they could either care or not care. They could be like,
Yeah, that's true too.
yeah, they could either care or not care. They'd be like, oh, okay, we just need people. I don't really care what this person says, but we just there will be interviewers like that, but it's very rare occasions. It could be where they're just urgent and they need really just anybody. But the truth is, they don't hire just anybody. It's like
Yeah,
they're looking for very specific, like select few people that exist and that are out there willing to do what they want you to do. And the point is, just make yourself an asset and just make yourself valuable. And the more you do that, the more they will want to get you on and then possibly hire you. And it's just the truth that's harsh, but it may be harsh but true, but you have to accept it. It's just the way it is. Uh,
you really hit the nail on the head there. And you even reminded me that's true. Whenever they're asking questions, try to have answers ready. Like, don't rehearse it to the point where it's going to sound like a canned answer, is what my career counselor told me. But still go in prepared. And like there are even like lists of interviewer questions online that you can kind of refer to. But one of the biggest things that they taught me also was make sure to draw from your experiences as much as you can. Like your resume will be your cheat sheet for your interview. So if they're asking you about something, try to relate it as much to your older positions and your tasks there as you can. Because the more examples you have of previous experience, the better that's going to make you look.
because the one thing that you really can refer to is to say that you have experience and make that marketable for people to want to get you on. And part of that is having a resume and having it provable and right in front of them. And let them read it. For the most part, let them read it at the end and like see if it's something that they like. And if they do, great. If they don't, then you can always like learn from it and add more that's probably missing to it and have it around with you. And if you need to update it, update it. If you don't. Just it's a good thing to have with you, most definitely.
Yeah. I I thought my resume was pretty well put together, and then I went in for the career counseling services, and they thought this is good, but it can be better, and then they showed me how to make it better. And like, and even then, sometimes it won't always help. I guess. I mean, I thought I had said everything I could, but if we're talking about like interviews and stuff, I guess I kind of wanted to share a story about a few interviews. I'm not going to call any specific people out, but I had a few interviews that kind of felt unprofessional from the employer's end, where they called me in and they hadn't really looked at my resume before the interview, and I kind of feel like that was poor planning on their part.
Oh,
And then
can I can just
I
not
had
agree.
another job that I had applied for. I had another job that I applied for where they called me back twice, and after the second interview was like a month away or month apart from my first one. It was either a month or two, and in between that, they also had me do kind of like a test. They wanted me to design like 2 posters for them, and they gave me that maybe 3 weeks after my first interview, and I thought, when are they gonna send this? Uh, but then after my second interview, they said, okay, we have a few more people that we want to interview, and we're probably gonna fill the position in the next month. And then I called them a month later and was like, hey, what's going on with this? And obviously I didn't say it like that, but they just said something on like, we decided to put the position on hold for now, or we're not actively hiring for it. And I was that was kind of like whenever I cut ties with that employer, because like, definitely know the worth of yourself. If you start to see these red flags, like you don't feel they looked at your resume or gave you the proper time of day. I know during my second interview, it really felt like they were trying to rush through it, and I still had things to say. I think my interview was like maybe less than half an hour, and they definitely tried to rush through it, I feel. But know your worth. If you start to see these red flags, you don't have to sell yourself short for this kind of thing.
Has it happened where there was an interviewer at some point that you've seen, and you would have expected him to like be up front, make eye contact, and not like leave long pauses? Because like my last one, I won't say who it is, but my last one just had like a bunch of just like eye scratching, like nose picking moments where he didn't even look at me, and I was just like, I barely broke eye contact with this guy. However, though, like I would have expected him to like at least have a non-slurred speech and sound professional, right? I mean, but has it ever
Yeah,
happened?
that doesn't sound very professional too. I mean, like probably like just hearing about it probably isn't enough to that I would say like cut them off completely, but you definitely should have been treated better by the employer there. But then again, not everybody who interviews you at a place is necessarily qualified to do so. They were brought in probably for other talents, maybe not necessarily for their people skills.
Yeah, I mean, but if they're told to do it, or talk to people, interview them,
Yeah, but you still got to put in the effort.
it's part of being an interviewer is to know how to do it. It's just just reality. Nothing's easy. If it's easy, you're
Yeah,
doing something wrong.
yeah. That's one of the hard truths to adulting here too. My phone is going off. Uh,
Oh,
but
oh, I know you have.
yeah, I think that's everything I had on that topic.
I know you have Snapchat. I've heard it in one of your videos. He knows.
I do not have Snapchat at all. I don't know where you're getting this information. This is a text from one of my other Discord things. Leave me alone. I'm in a podcast. There we go. That's on the other side of the phone now.
There was a video where I heard the little bloop, like jingle from like I could have been wrong. It could have been like somebody in the other room, but I swore that I like rewinded it back a few seconds and I heard it come from the video. I was like, I know it.
You sure this was one of mine?
It was in like the finale of the Thousand Year Door. I'm sure it was. Maybe, just maybe. I know I heard it. It was there. I could not have been hallucinating. If I was, I was. But if I could find it, I'll definitely show you. If I can
Yeah,
go back and
definitely. Because I'm curious where this came from. I'm pretty sure my phone was on silent.
I'll definitely show.
Because I was very picky about how I wanted the Thousand Year Door finale to go. I was making sure like nobody was gonna call me, nobody was gonna interrupt me. This is it. This is my moment.
It could have been like an older video, but if I could just go back and find it, I do believe.
Yeah, I do not have Snapchat.
But I do believe the last video that I clicked on, second to like the Galaxy 2 sketch video, was the finale of TTTD. But yeah, Thousand Year Door. Pick on me for abbreviating.
No, that's fine.
But
It's a mouthful of a title.
oh, I'm aware. I'm aware. Although I've never played Thousand Year Door, but I do see myself at some point playing it. But yeah, it is quite of a tongue twister if you let it be. But this topic, I know it's really doesn't have to do with both of us. It's really just kind of on my end. Uh, what sparked the idea of Okami HD with Axiom? There are a couple of inspirations that maybe want to do this playthrough. Oh, by the way, if you're wondering why I'm calling it the definitive playthrough, two reasons. This is the first playthrough that I've done where I have had a partner stay along for the entire ride, which would be my cousin. And second, we are doing or showing every last inch of this game that we can possibly do, which means 100%, obviously. Uh, we're trying to like show every last part that we can to the best of our ability. But we will do 100%. We've told ourselves from the very beginning in episode 1 this will be 100% for sure because we've done it before. Uh, but Chris or Axiom, my partner for this project, he is the one that I first heard about the game from back in like 2010. I know that it came out like 4 years earlier, like 2006 or 7, but I've never really seen it in gameplay until I went to his home and where he did his playthrough on his old channel. Go subscribe to Axiom Archives, by the way, not his official name. Originally, it was Chris Igor.
Official plug.
But he had that old tube TV, like before he got a Panasonic. But I was there when like he was playing through, I think, Suda Ruins, I believe. Or it could have been sometime after when he was about to go into the Ark of Yamato to go and fight the final boss, Yami. Sorry for the pause. But I was definitely there.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say I didn't lose you in Discord here, did I?
I was like, Mega, where'd you go? Anyway. Yeah, I was.
Yeah, I'm still here.
It's okay. But I was definitely there seeing his gameplay end when he was playing it for the Wii. And I was like, huh, that sounds like a cool game. But anyway, he was one. He introduced me to the game itself. And first hearing about Okami, I was with him. I had no idea what the game was, but I became more interested as I saw the gameplay. And I eventually purchased the game for myself for the Wii. After finishing it, I liked it. And no matter how long a game it was definitely worth playing through, for sure. And the second inspiration was I was exploring through YouTube, just watching some other playthroughs of it, and I found this particular uh, Let's Player by the name of Masayanella. And if you don't know who she is, she does art on Patreon and she does gameplay videos on YouTube. And I gotta congratulate her because she did her first few live streams on YouTube. She did a Ocarina of Time randomizer. Pretty good, but
Yeah, she's normally on Twitch for her streams.
Yeah, she does quite a lot. Really entertaining, very well spoken individual, and I adore her content without a doubt. But I watched her playthrough of Okami, and when I reached her finale, she told this story about how she suffered through scoliosis, and at the age of I don't know how old she was. I don't know how old she is now, but I would assume that she's in her 20s. She suffered through that, and she had to go and get an operation done for it. And in her recovery, she talked a lot about how she would listen to the original soundtrack. More certainly, there was a song called Reset, which is the credits song for the game of Okami. Pretty good song. You can find it at some points earlier in the game if you dig deep enough. But I was like, as important as a game this is, I would like to do my own playthrough because I've seen Chris play it, I've seen her play it. Very, very, very interesting game. But seeing how somebody could withstand such a medical condition and still manage to push through as if nothing had occurred is just intimidating, to me at least. But me and Chris, and I have to say,
But very admirable.
exactly, it's just how it turned out to be. And I gotta say, me and Chris originally considered in 2013 doing a versus of this game, but it didn't work out, and I'll say why. We tried 3 different capture cards, and none of them worked. Literally, I'm not even joking when I say this. I'm not even kidding around. We tried to the best of our ability, and we even gave it a shot in episode 1, but it just like died or something like that or something. None of the capture cards that I was using worked at the time, and just doing a versus would count as we were totally available because we were just teenagers at the time. we could have totally did this. As opposed to now when we're doing the definitive playthrough, because he has a full-time job, and usually on the weekends we can only record, but still. But to compensate for that, getting Axiom, who obviously introduced me to the game, getting him to join the playthrough would help pay off for sure. But yeah, definitely. And also, Masayanella did a cover of Reset with, I believe his name on YouTube is Family Jewels,
Family Jewels.
who did who does music. And to tell the truth, I can't really tell the sheer difference between Masayanella's cover and the original song for the credits. Because I even showed it to one of her streams at some point while she was doing Ocarina of Time Randomizer, and congratulated her for how well she sounded. And she says, "I'm glad you liked it." I was like, She was like, "Thank you so much. I'm just so humbled." And I was like, "I didn't like it. I loved it. What are you talking about?"
That's awesome when you can get a response from your favorite YouTubers like that.
Yeah, and I was telling,
Because I've also seen that cover here, and it's a fantastic cover, and you can tell it is something that very much was special to her because she sang it in the original Japanese here too. I mean, granted, Misei is also Japanese herself, or at least I think half Japanese, but still very good cover. Yeah, check it out on Family Jewels channel here when you get the chance.
exactly, like, I watched through it. I was like, boy. I mean, I would have known that Masayanella would have been like very good at narrations, but I didn't know that she can sing songs. It's like one thing that stuck out to me by a long shot for sure. And I was telling Seethercord, I don't think you've met him yet, but he is something that I've also done a podcast with on his channel, like back in 2016. That I doubt that this would happen, but if she does another YouTube stream, or really any stream of that matter, uh, maybe, and just maybe, just knowing how willing she is to collaborate with people, a lifelong dream would be to have her come and talk in my finale. Just maybe. I doubt it will happen. I doubt that'll get a yes, but if so, I will be more than grateful. But if not, I will just move on. And things happen. Sometimes,
That'd be awesome. I wish you the best of luck with that.
I mean, just again, knowing how willing somebody is to like what was the word? Collaborate with you. Sorry, but I'm seeing in the back of my mind that she would say yes, but at the same time that knowing how busy everybody is, just knowing how you, me, M. Chan, and Multi are as friends, along with Sita Cord and Axiom, as just like we're friends, her, Chugga Conroy, and like Nintendo Capri Sun are friends as well, and they have their obligations too, which means that I might get a no, I might get a yes, so it really just varies. And yeah, that's about it for what sparked the idea of this definitive playthrough. And I was doing a voiceover at some point.
I guess.
You were saying?
Oh, okay. I guess I wanted to piggyback off of this. I can definitely tell that Okami is a very special game to you because not only is it, as far as I know, unless you have something privated or unlisted, Okami is the very first video on your channel. You did about a 4.5 minute capture card test
Right. And
from about 9 years ago.
yeah, and that was when I.
Yeah, I can do my research too. I can do some digging.
It's like I found your sketch of the Galaxy case. I guess you found mine as well.
Yeah, thanks for digging up that old memory again.
And that was when we were doing uh, a test to do a versus. Like, sadly, that video doesn't have any game sound to it, but still. But it picked up some footage, although it lagged here and there. And that was like the old Dazzle DVC 70 or something like that just isn't compatible with Windows 10. I just know it. But
So that's one of the three you said you tested for the verses.
exactly, like that was at the time that we were trying to get everything together, and it didn't ended up working out. It's sad, but hey, like we're making up for it. It was just us two wanted to do a versus, but now it's us two doing the same game at the same time, but we're taking turns in each episode. I play odds, he plays evens.
Even or odd number episodes and even number episodes, just to clarify
Yeah, that's him.
for anybody watching.
And the funny thing about that is, like, we're gonna bounce on to the final topic in just a moment, but uh, I was,
I had a few more things I want to bring up about Okami, if you didn't mind.
oh yeah, go for it.
Okay. I couldn't help but notice that maybe my timing was just very good. So, a few months ago, in September, Whatchamigavit tagged me on Twitter because I guess there was a trend going around to list your 6 favorite games of all time. So he did his. He tagged me to do mine, and then I decided to actually pass it along to you, Alex. And I can't help but notice Okami is number 2 on your list. Now, I want to ask, did that trend actually inspire you to do the Let's Play now at all? Did I have something to do with it because I decided to tag you, or was it just very fortunate timing?
I think the timing at the least had to be one of my sparks for it. I didn't really pay close attention as to what number it would be in terms of a rank. Uh, just knowing how I was introduced and how I came across some playthroughs and the people who played through them, Chris and Ella, just those two individuals were just enough to inspire me. But I didn't really have much thought about it being number 2 on the rank, if that makes sense. But I wouldn't say that's one of them. But thanks for letting me
Yeah,
know.
I just wondered if maybe like you thinking about your favorite games of all time maybe inspired you to take on Okami, or if maybe just Okami was already on your mind anyway, since you had started or pre-production of the Let's Play around that time. I was just curious what your thought process there was.
Yeah, it is a special game. I love it. Uh, I always will. And just knowing how the person that first introduced me to it was Chris, and I was just like, one of these weekends, I think in late August or something like that, uh, Chris and I were just talking about, I wonder what game we can do together on my channel because I know that Chris, as a busy person, doesn't really do YouTube that much, although he wants to go back at some point on like another channel. I wonder what game we can do, and it was definitely Okami. It was like, Chris, I was wondering if you wanted to do a definitive playthrough with me. And he's like, yeah, sure, let's pick it. I was like, Okami's a one. Uh, but he agreed to it.
Yeah, it really does look like a special game. Like if you love any of the 3D Zeldas, from what I've seen, Okami is probably the game for you. Because to give you kind of like a little bit of my history, I haven't played Okami for myself, but I have seen full playthroughs of it, and I can tell it is definitely one of the best games that I've never played. Same with that and Banjo Kazooie. I feel like those are probably like the two that I've sadly never played, but love to. And I think I almost picked up Okami for the Wii once, and uh, I guess I'm thankful I didn't because now it's very easily accessible on the Switch, so I could get the HD version. But the first time I had encountered the game was from Chugga Conroy whenever he did his Let's Play in 2010, I believe. And then I haven't watched all of Masayanella's playthrough of her game, but I've seen bits and pieces, like particularly of my favorite moments. Like I really like the revisit to Kamiki Village from 100 years ago, and the Ninetales fight is especially cool. I know you guys are talking up that fight in your playthrough,
Right, and
but just certain highlights I've checked out of her channel of her Let's Play, and it is very good.
yeah, and as a person, like when we were just talking, when I talked about her cover of Reset her on her live stream when she was doing Ocarina of Time Randomizer, it's just she's such a sweet person. She really is. It's like she's way nicer than you think she is. It's just insane. And although I've never really seen that many uh, videos of her playthrough, I do kind of like skip some here and there, just like see if I can like get through an area. she helps. Chuck Connery helped, and Chris helped. It's just I feel like everybody in the end just like becomes a family when it comes to like playthroughs. It
Yeah.
just happens. But
It's like the perfect storm of elements to push you into one particular thing.
exactly, voice crack
And
exactly.
yeah, there's a lot to love about Okami. The art style being cell shaded, it goes very much hand in hand with like the kind of like traditional Japanese watercolor paintings of that era. And as you've said, the soundtrack is phenomenal. Not just the credits theme Reset, which even without the lyrics is still a very beautiful song, but Susano's theme is very triumphant. Kushi's ride is very epic for going into Orochi's lair. Uh, Isun's theme is very happy and bouncy. And Ryoshi Makos is just one of the greatest overworld
Oh,
themes, in my opinion.
Ryushima Coast is.
I can't wait. I can't wait till you and Axiom get to that
Oh,
point.
we have gotten there. We just haven't uploaded it yet.
Oh, okay, you just haven't edited yet.
Oh, and if I could share something about that, actually, when we got through Scion City, just like as the cursed condition, we haven't really revived it, past the Imperial Palace with the Emperor, I believe. We went to the sunken ship, and we had to restart the episode because I skipped the cutscene in the sunken ship with Rao and Isun. We like the door. It was the most important cutscene of the entire episode. We were like 45 minutes in, and then Chris was like, "No, you skipped it." I was like, "No, I didn't. No, I didn't." He's like, "Yeah, we got to restart."
Doesn't it only allow you to skip cutscenes on New Game Plus?
It allows you to skip cutscenes in the Wii version and New Game. I believe. I never played New Game Plus yet, if it makes sense. So I'm not too sure there.
Hmm.
But I'll find out. Definitely. I could just Google it, but
Okay, because there are features in New Game Plus that I'm thinking for a definitive playthrough. I'm sure you'll probably cover.
yeah, I'll look into it. I could probably just Google it right now and like see if it's able to if I can skip cutscenes. I cannot talk tonight. Uh if I can, I can. If
I
not,
mean, if you could do it in the regular game, I'm assuming you can do it there too.
yeah, definitely. But you mentioned Ninetales. Uh he's a pretty phenomenal arc as well. He's the second arc and the most popular. He is just that major of a boss. I went to my brother's house where he has like a ton of recording equipment, and I was like, Jason, that's my brother's name, Jason. I'm trying to do a voiceover of a boss that I see very important in this series. We stayed up until about 1 o'clock in the morning, like doing recaps and recovers of Ninetales' dialogue when you first uh, greet it after Oni Island or at the end of Oni Island. We stayed up for at least 2 hours trying to get the right effects right, and I believe he sent it to me in an email. But I'm trying to see if it's something that I still want to stick with. Like the cut that we did, I'm trying to see if it's still usable to me. If I want to redo it, I can probably redo it here, but I felt like the microphone that he was using was much better than the one that I'm already talking with, which is a Snowball. But he has like the studio mic where you can, it's like surround sound pickup where you can do all kinds of effects. But I'm still juggling sound files and like see which one I can probably use. Because when it comes to that boss in particular, I want it to sound the best, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's definitely a highlight of the game from what I've seen.
Yeah. There was the Spider Queen, but I talked more about the Spider Queen and Orochi way more than I talked about Ninetales because I didn't get there yet. Um, I do see us reaching Oni Island definitely in episode 20 something, from what I understand. But we'll see. I think again we're making extravagant use of our time when it comes to this playthrough.
Yeah, you did a little break here, but I'm impressed with your progress. I still need to see It's November 5th as we're recording this. I still need to watch the most recent episode that you just uploaded. But yeah, phenomenal progress here so far.
Oh, and I can.
And I'm still looking forward to seeing if you guys will finally get those loading screen mini games to work.
We tried. We tried. It's like there's like no visual cue. You just have to like get a feel for it. It's kind of hard. But they said it was able to do. Like I even looked it up and like said the screen mini games or loading screen mini games are available on Switch and PS4. Yada yada yada. I was like, we got to figure it out. We got to figure it out. It's just something that's gonna be on their list in this playthrough.
Don't let the flame die out!
The flame will not die out. It'll keep burning. But yeah, that's pretty much about it. And I gotta say, episode 12 took the longest because that took quite a ton of voiceover because of Susano's cutscene where he like drank all the sake, and everybody was angry at him for like not being able to celebrate uh, the annual Kamiki festival, which is a ton of talking, a ton of cutscenes. It was an itch. It was an itch. But that's about it.
I gotta ask, do you have a favorite? Maybe you'll probably bring it up whenever you get there at that point. But do you have a favorite brush power?
My favorite brush power. That's a really good question.
Just because Okami is so very unique in, depending on what context you're in, whatever you draw will happen. Like a dot in the sky can be a shooting star, or a dot in the ground can sprout a tree for a second. And like drawing a circle in the sky, create the sun. A circle around dead plant life can revive it. There are just so many different contexts, I guess you could say, that make Okami so unique. And of course, you can control the elements at some point. But then there are a lot of like really unique ones, like two horizontal lines will slow down time. I think that one might be my favorite from what I've seen, because then you can upgrade it and warp between the mirrors, and that's a very practical use, and it practically, I think it pretty much makes mermaid coins useless after that point,
Good. That's
just because it's more versatile.
that's uh that's
Uh,
Veil of Mist, by the way.
Veil, yes. I think my least favorite power up or brush power, just because it. Now, I think it's safe to say it probably comes up the least, is the cat wall climbing, just because it feels like a little bit of a stretch. Like maybe they were trying to come up with one more. It doesn't feel like a natural extension of your abilities. It feels like it's very situational, to the point where even during the final boss, which the final boss had found clever ways to use practically every single brush power. Really, all it does there is it gets you some extra items you can use in the final battle. Like they didn't even do something cool, like you can climb up Yami's body to strike it. So yeah, I'd probably say that one's my least favorite.
Yeah, you got a point though, but I would have to say my favorite brush power, in terms of just helping out, extending waiting on time to take its course, would probably be the power of the moon. Hashtag Yumigumi. I have to say it again. I have to say it again. Uh, that was a blooper that me and Chris had, where the god's name that teaches you the moon power is Yumigami, the bunny rabbit. And as a joke, we did. I said Yumigumi instead, which I
Yeah, well, Amaterasu's the god of the sun, so you kind of have to throw a little bit of shade towards the moon god.
Yumigumi. There
Yumigumi.
there will be another joke coming. Within another god's name. If it sounds reasonable to joke about it, like if it sounds funny but not that funny, but we'll see. But in terms of like power and like offense and defense, probably I would like to say lightning. Definitely, lightning is just a huge factor in that game.
That's fair. They use it for pretty unique. That's in the. It has been a little bit since I've seen the full playthrough of Okami, but that's during the Oni Island arc,
Yes, it
correct?
is.
Yeah, and then like it's mainly used whenever like a boss raises a sword towards the sky, then you can electrocute them, and then you can upgrade it to do the thunderbolts, and then summon your own electricity, and then use it within the use the thunder edge to connect to electricity there. So yeah, I'd say like the elemental powers are definitely helpful, but I guess in terms of like creativity, like a lot of it's just, oh hey, if this element is on screen, just draw a line from wherever you need it, and then you're done. I kind of like the ones that are a little bit more unique. Like I said, the Veil of Mist being one of them. That was a unique idea. And even like the power of restoration, just scribbling in what you need to recreate that had been destroyed. That's a very unique power that I kind of wish had gotten use more in the game,
Like,
because I don't think you use it much after the first few hours.
exactly. And I gotta say though, like I don't think we had to like use it that much, like the power of restoration, until we at least reached the city checkpoint, which is right before Ryoshima Coast. Um, it had like a handful of Konohana blossoms where you have to like be very mindful of your ink supply. If you have to like use an Infinity Stone, go right ahead because time will definitely distract you from your ink supply. So be very very careful in the city checkpoint because there is quite a bit to collect in terms of just 100%ing the game, to be honest, because I was there.
Hmm.
We did city checkpoint, and I was the one playing at the time. We did pretty well on that, so I'm kind of relieved there. That's about it for me though when it comes to Okami.
Uh, yeah, I mean, I guess there's more that I could bring up here too, but I might just save some of my questions for whenever you get to those points in the series.
Yeah,
So I guess I'll leave you wanting more here because that way it'll give me. I try to comment at least something on each of my friends' let's plays if I'm following along with it, just because like I know YouTube likes the algorithm in particular likes whenever you leave a comment. That and if one of my friends took the time to record a let's play and if I'm very interested in it, I feel like it's very rewarding to leave a comment for them, and because I know I really appreciate it whenever somebody leaves one for me for a video that I was very proud of. So I'll share more of my thoughts of Okami as you continue throughout the game, but I'm looking forward to seeing what you're going to put out.
of course. And as for our final topic, which is older videos on our channels and what has changed, I feel like I've talked a little bit about this um, in this recording earlier. But did you want to go first, or what do you want to do?
Uh,
I feel like since I went,
sure, I can go.
yeah, I feel like since I went first in the Okami inspiration, like what sparked the idea. I think I can let you take over this one first.
Okay. Well, since you kind of dug up one of my oldest videos when it came to it was the drawing of the Nintendo Selects cover of Super Mario Galaxy. That was one of my earliest videos. I think it was an update video, probably talking about what was going on in my life, but that goes as far back as 2012. I recorded at least the first part of that with my camera at the time, my digital camera that I said could take video, but it was kind of hit or miss as to whether or not it would record audio. That camera actually kind of the fun fact, it kind of put me on my path to wanting to get into graphic design because I joined a photography course in high school and then started playing around with Photoshop and the rest of the stuff in the Adobe package, and I got really interested in it. But like I said, that's a little bit of a tangent. The earliest videos on my channel, on the other hand, are from Mario Party DS, and I don't remember how we came to the decision to do Mario Party DS specifically, but I always knew I wanted to let's play Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door. So I had created the YouTube channel, but I hadn't really done anything with it for a while. Then finally, whatchamagivit jokingly, he would go, "Your channel's boring. You need to have something on there." And somehow we came to Let's Playing, or we called it Let's Co-op Mario Party DS. I don't remember. I don't recommend watching it now because we did camcorder vision. It's not the greatest. I'm sure there are plenty of other playthroughs you can watch of Mario Party DS that would be of significantly better quality. But if you really need to hear little baby Mega doing his first videos, there you go. There it is.
Little baby Mega, is that what we're calling?
Yeah.
16-year-old
I'm gonna
Mega?
do my first video ever. No, I didn't sound that young, but I mean I kind of did. I made fun of myself a little bit in my whenever I did my reaction to the Thousand Year Door. But the we did each board, and then we also sprinkled in the bosses, so we let each of us handle a boss in the game. As we you can select the bosses, thankfully, from a different minigame menu. So each of us got to fight at least one boss throughout the playthrough. I did the final boss, and I think no, I don't think Wutch's sister actually was able to beat the one that I think she won Wiggler's Garden, but she wasn't able to beat the piranha plant, so somebody else ended up picking up for her. I don't know. I really don't want to go back and watch it because again, it's very cringy. But yeah, that playthrough was kind of the precursor to the Gamers Garage, really, where it was myself, my brother, Watch Him Give It, and then we had Watch's sister who went by DanceMaster969. She ended up leaving the playthrough after I think Toadette's Music Room. And that's perfectly fine. I think around that point, she just wasn't as excited about doing it, and we really didn't want to force her to do anything. And there's no ill will towards it. It's perfectly fine. That was on her, and it really helps the energy keep flowing if you're enthusiastic about the project. So it turned out fine regardless, and again, it led to the Gamers Garage, and now I feel like we're making better content than we were in Mario Party DS. I feel bad insulting Mario Party DS so much because mainly because it was his idea. We actually recorded it with his camcorder, and he put like the different like star count and how many coins we each had. He put a lot of effort into editing it, but now both of us kind of look back on it and thought, oh, we were so green. So yeah, those are the earliest videos on my channel. And then I also have, if I could share a unique one,
Yeah.
in the summer of 2012, my sister got married, and some of my aunts, I don't know how the idea of this came to be, but they made this wasn't the actual wedding cake, but they made like a prop wedding cake out of toilet paper, I guess that was around the house, and then they decorated it with like these cookie cutter stencils. So it like from a distance here it looks like a mock wedding cake. But because it was made of toilet paper, I joked to Watcha and said, "That's the perfect cake for Nintendo Capri Sun." So I ended up just doing a short video of it, and back when YouTube had video responses, I think I tagged Nintendo Capri Sun in it to see if he would watch it. I don't know if he ever saw it, but I would only dream. He did respond to one of my comments once whenever he did his NES playthrough of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for this summer, and that was like a crowning achievement to have Nintendo Capri Sun acknowledge me as a person.
That reminds me, though, of a video that Axiom did when he was doing YouTube, just as Chris Eeyore back in the day. He did a video where he got a certain amount of subscribers or something. I think he has like done. I'm talking about NCS. I think NCS done about 92, 93 Let's Plays right now. But at the time, Chris did a video where he talked about where he congratulated NCS on achieving his subscriber milestone. And at the time, he did about 40 something Let's Plays. Quite a difference in terms of the Let's Play amount. But it turns out Chris never actually sent a comment to Nintendo Capri Sun because the video's title on Chris's video was called "This is for Nintendo Capri Sun," and NCS found it by himself. it showed up on his feed literally. Just knowing how small a YouTuber Chris was at the time, I gotta say that
That's why
like having a crowning
that's why it
achievement.
feels so awesome to get that
Yeah,
response.
it's like having that as a crowning achievement. It was just like I feel like we've all been there. Like I got Masay to reply
Like
to
you
me.
had your Missy and Ella story earlier.
Yeah,
Now if only I could get like Chugga Conroy to to notice me,
good luck.
to acknowledge my existence, then I feel like my Let's Player character arc would be complete.
Cause
Well, that and I have to finish the 1,000 Year Door.
cause I think with him he has like about 1 million subs. So good luck. You can finally say that somebody with 1 million subscribers has talked to you before, if it happens.
But I think that's the most I wanted to say about my older videos. There are a couple like miscellaneous random videos. Like I did Halloween specials where I just took like spooky moments from games, like the ghost galaxies in Galaxy 1 and 2. Uh, there's some Pikmin 2 stuff in there. I did some Smash Bros stuff where I looked back at the history. Dr. Mario. I've got that in a random videos playlist on my channel if you ever wanted to check those out. Those are a little bit less cringy, but I still don't look at them very highly, but I like revisiting them more than Mario Party DS. But that's most of what I've done before the 1,000 Year Door, and then I haven't done a whole lot since then, and if I have, it's usually on somebody else's channel. But now that we've done that, let's talk about some of your older videos here.
So I gotta say, like, when I first started making videos back in June of 2013, um, which the videos are taken down now, but I really didn't make Let's Play videos. Just like made camera videos like of me showing my face. I don't really do that as much now, but my editing tutorial in a way will show a face reveal when it gets done. Uh, but then I gathered like the idea of doing Let's Play videos, and at the time I just had camera videos of me like talking about, hey, this is what I'm going to play, this is when it's going to be out, and this is how I'm going to play it, so far and so forth. And I had like this really old Windows 2000 or Windows 1000, whatever you want to call it, camera to record with. It looked really fuzzy and like really pixelated. Not the most visually appealing camera there is out there. Uh, but hey, I definitely went from camcorder to capture card very soon. Uh, Concise editing didn't really exist on my older videos because at the time I just kind of got lazy. I was just starting to learn how to edit, and I just kind of like let it take its course on my video's quality. And like whatever pauses I have now, like I usually don't cut podcasts and like I cut out the pauses, but if I have to in this one, I will. Uh, like this one, but I left those in, and people would usually come by and like say, "Hey, you can edit your videos some more." And I was like, "Yeah, I know." Uh, that's about it for me. But I want to bring up. Uh, I'm saying a lot. Why aren't you stopping me? You know, Mchan's
That's all right, because I do it too. I'd feel hypocritical.
uh, but Mchan's Super Mario Bros. 2 hilarious videos that me and Axiom were guests of, and I think Seethacord or John, my other best friend, was there doing guest commentary as well. It was one of the videos in that playthrough was just me and Chris, and one was just me, Chris, and Axiom. Me and Chris and Seethacord. Uh, so one video had two of us as a guest, and one video had three of us. But the commentary was just so weird. It was just funny. And looking back, like 9 years later, it was just if I can go back and change what I said, I definitely would because I felt like I really wasn't paying close attention to what Max was playing at the time. I was just playing Galaxy 2 by myself while just talking. And I wasn't really talking that much and like trying to engage with the commentary. I was just sitting back and talking about, hey, I just got 19 stars. And this is like, if I can go back and change what I said and did, I definitely would. Uh, but I feel like I'm talking
Yeah,
about,
nobody's first videos are going to be great.
and honestly,
If they are, you're lying to yourself.
and like honestly, as fun as it was to go back and watch them, like the good times were good times though, because it was so long ago, to where like I can go back and like feel the nostalgia of being there, and not being that used to being a guest in a video, where like now, for example, where I'm just having like a podcast go on. It's like back then I just didn't even know what it was like being a guest or being a guest in somebody else's video. I just felt comfortable with sitting back playing my own game and just going with a conversation. But in terms of older videos, like I was really randomized back then when it came to making content because I did a couple of parodies when I came to voiceover. Uh, I did videos where I went to Comic Con with Cord and Axiom. Uh, there was also what is it? I did a podcast with somebody else that I don't really talk to anymore. That I'm glad I don't talk to anymore because, uh, yeah, I'm not gonna go there. You cut ties, but still,
Yeah.
I do more generic walkthroughs and playthroughs today at least. Like I think at some point I was on Twitch doing Fall Guys as like a platformer game. But I feel like I was talking more about my newest content as opposed to my older content, where I just did parodies and like randomizations of the videos that I made. But about my older videos, if I can go back
Yeah,
and
I'm
change the commentary a little bit, I definitely would because my voice sounded different. I was talking about things that I probably shouldn't have talked about because it had nothing to do with the game or something, or it wasn't that entertaining. But still, like it was worth going back and like kind of tweaking. But that's about it.
I'm noticing your first full Let's Play. Now, you've mentioned that you deleted videos here, but is it correct in saying that Driver 3, or as it's spelled here, Drive 3er, is that your first official Let's Play?
That
This
is
had no commentary, but is.
that is my first official Let's Play. It is. I kind of cut it short because there were points in the game where you can actually stop playing missions and just go back to free roam or something like that. And it was kind of dry as a playthrough because I felt like I could have uh, had better sound and better. Again, we got to start somewhere. It's just how it is.
Yeah.
But that is my first playthrough, and it
And
went
then
from
there's.
that to probably
Yeah, there wouldn't
Princess
have been
and the
anything before
first.
that. And then you followed that with. There's at least a few videos of Super Monkey Ball, and then it looks like the first one with commentary was Ocarina of Time.
Right, and Monkey Ball had commentary
And
as
then
well.
you followed that with you followed that with uh so Twilight Princess, and then that kind of stopped around Snow Peak, and then you've done uh Uncharted 3 is kind of one of your more recent ones, or at least you finished it in the last few years. And I thought I saw was it Ocarina of Time randomizer as well?
There was no, there wasn't Ocarina of Time randomizer. I did though. There was Luigi's Mansion versus with multi. There was a sample run of Wind Waker where I was doing a speed run of some sort. Then there was Uncharted 3. There was my Wind Waker speedrunning tips and tricks for tutorials, which got a lot of attention, I gotta say, because people at the time were really messing with that game, to be honest. Then, of course, there was a generic randomization, which is like Comic Con, fun stuff, updates, uh, other kinds of stuff. And I did Uncharted 4. I also did Uncharted Lost Legacy, The Walking Dead, and A New Frontier, The Last of Us Part 2. I finished a ton of those games. Like, I took those to the next level and just finished them because I had nothing else to do. Because as they got newer and newer, I was like, it really makes sense to finish the game and just say that you did it.
Now, will any of these be as popular as, get ready for it, and don't hate me for this. This might be my thing to catch you on. Will any of these older videos be as popular as your crowning achievement, cool piano riffs?
See ya. See ya. I'm out. Nope. I'm out. Nope.
I just scrolled back as far as I could. I have not seen cool piano riffs as of right now.
There was my
I notice it is
Twitch tutorial that had like 8,000.
I'm seeing 6K here. 6K views. It is from 8 years ago. It is just a little bit younger than your Ocarina of Time playthrough.
It was a little bit younger than my Ocarina of Time playthrough. And I gotta say, will any of my videos be as popular as cool piano riffs? Yes, it was my Twitch tutorial. So, I got you there.
The more you know.
The more you know. The more.
Well, at the very least, I was able to dig that up for you. You're welcome, audience.
You did. You did. But hey, that's about it for me.
No, I think that's pretty much it here. We actually went a lot longer than we did for the first podcast. I think the first one was maybe about an hour and 15 minutes, an hour and 20. Here, I think we're pushing 2 hours.
We are pushing 2 hours. I'm literally looking at the timer. Crazy. But yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to doing another one of these, to be honest. Because...
Yeah, call me. I guess he sent me a message out of the blue a few weeks ago. He said, hey, it's been almost a year. You want to do another podcast? I said, sure. So we might have to make this an annual thing.
You don't have to if you don't want to. Like, if it's an annual thing, it kind of can vary. If it's something that you want to do.
Okay, well, whenever you feel like having me back again, I'd be more than happy to do it. I guess just closing thoughts. This was really fun to do. Thank you for having me once again. If I can plug anything, I can plug my channel, Megawiimaster1 at youtube.com. I have my collaborative channel, The Gamers Garage. We're going to have some stuff coming out on there soon. I have a Twitter I don't really use very often, but whenever there is some major news, I will post on there. If you want to see artwork that's more recent and I'm more proud of, I did an illustration of the final boss battle of Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door, and I used that in the finale, so check that out on my Twitter. I think it's going to age better than my Super Mario Galaxy poster that I made back in high school. But then again, in a few years, maybe I'll just feel like, well, this Thousand Year Door artwork is bad. I don't know how I'm going to feel about it in a few years. But, yeah, that's where you can find me.
That's where you can find them, and I'll link them in the description. And stay tuned for an editing tutorial, or how I edit my things coming out. And stay tuned for...
The face reveal!
Yeah. And stay tuned for Okami HD, the definitive playthrough with Axiom, coming, I believe, tomorrow at about 11 o'clock in the morning. We're going to do some other videos there, and stay tuned for... I believe if I see something else worth doing a review of, I guess stay tuned for that as well, because there are very few things that I do reviews of, if that makes sense. But if I do, I do. I don't, I don't. But stay tuned regardless.
Usually movie trailers involving Chris Pratt as voicing the lead character.
Wrong.
As we've seen in your trailer reviews for the Mario movie and the Lego movie 2.
Yeah. If it's a movie, it's really rare. It's really rare. I was this close to reviewing Sonic, but I was like, I kind of just like wanted to sit back and enjoy it. But
maybe someday.
Someday. I feel like it's just kind of older now that I really just don't have to do a review. But if I will someday, I will. But honestly, I don't see myself doing a review of it because I've already seen it, but I won't talk about it. But hey, that's all of our topics. We will probably do this again at some point. I don't know when, but there's nothing wrong with being prepared. That's all.
Yep.
With that being said, stay tuned for more. Subscribe, like, comment, or anything else. Peace out, everyone.
Have a good one.